Chapter 13, 90. Four Clear Transforming Winds. Translator, Atlas Studios. Editor, Atlas Studios. Reverse Flow Protection Seal immediately showed extraordinary effect. The finger wind dragon was reflected at Wu Yong, but right at this moment, Wu Yong gave a firm shout, his whole body erupting with a powerful aura. The immortal killer move he had been preparing was finally activated. Yin Wind Ghost Sickle Hand. He stretched out his right arm and grabbed towards the finger wind dragon. Almost instantly, with no prior indication, an enormous ghost hand suddenly appeared on the finger wind dragon's body. The ghost hand formed completely by yin wind. It was extremely large, grabbing the finger wind dragon like grabbing an earthworm. The ghost hand was pitch black and had long, sharp claws that were like 5 sickles. At this moment, as it grabbed down, it looked like it had the power to slaughter immortals. The finger wind dragon gave a miserable cry and struggled fiercely. Several breaths later, it completely broke apart, turning into gusts of wind which soon dissipated. Feng Jiaogishi's expression turned solemn. Finger wind dragon was undoubtedly a rank 8 killer move, but Wu Yong's yin wind ghost sickle hand clearly appeared to be much more powerful. If this hand had grabbed Feng Zhuge, the consequences were too miserable to imagine. If Fang Yuan had not interfered at the crucial moment, Feng Zhuge would still be being chased by the finger wind dragon and would also have to face yin wind ghost sickle hand. His situation would have been extremely precarious. Wu Yong's expression was similarly unsightly. He had been preparing yin wind ghost sickle hand for a long while and had thought of defeating Feng Zhuge with this. But with Fang Yuan's interference, he had no choice but to change the target to finger wind dragon, wasting this great killer move. In fact, yin wind ghost sickle hand had a subsequent transformation as well. It was called yin wind rope, and its ability was to capture Gu immortals. After all, Feng Zhuge was from Central Continent. Wu Yong had spent such a large amount of effort and immortal essence to prepare yin wind ghost sickle hand so as to capture Feng Zhuge alive. If he achieved his goal, he would have gained huge benefits. Firstly, if Wu Yong captured a person like Feng Zhuge alive, it would be a huge boost to his own fame and would have a huge influence on Southern Border's righteous path as well. Secondly, just capturing Feng Zhuge and not killing him would mean they would not have to fall out with Central Continent in Heavenly Court. Finally, after capturing Feng Zhuge, Wu Yong could not only extort him, he could also blackmail Spirit Affinity House and even Heavenly Court. If he could make Heavenly Court compromise and hand over those immortal Gu they took from the Super Gu formation, even if it was just a portion of them, Wu Yong's prestige in the whole of Southern Border's Gu immortal world would definitely rise to unprecedented heights. It could even directly stabilize Wu Clan as the #1 force of the righteous path in Southern Border's Gu immortal world. But now, Fang Yuan had disrupted his plan. These two guys? If I use ordinary rank 7 killer moves, Feng Zhuge could easily resist them and even counterattack. If I use rank 8 killer moves, although I would be able to force back Feng Zhuge and suppress him, I would have to go through Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal. If the killer move is reflected, I would be the one to suffer losses. Wu Yong's eyelids twitched slightly at his present situation. It was problematic. He felt a little troubled. If he was just facing Fang Yuan, Wu Yong could completely treat him like a sandbag and have full initiative. If he was facing just Feng Zhuge, he could also forcefully suppress the latter. But if he was to face both of them, Wu Yong was troubled. There is not much hope in breaking reverse flow protection seal in a short period of time. This is the first time I am witnessing this move, and I am also not a wisdom path Gu immortal. Maybe Heavenly Court and longevity. Heaven have already researched and made countermeasures against reverse flow protection seal. But the only way now is to continue attacking them until they are unable to cope with the attacks, then find an opportunity to kill them. If there was no opportunity in battle, he would create it himself. Thinking of this, Wu Yong suddenly concealed himself, disappearing from Fang Yuan's and Feng Zhuge's sights. He disappeared. Where is he? Fang Yuan looked at Feng Zhuge. Wu Yong was taking a step back for the sake of advancing further, Fang Yuan's investigative methods were no good and was simply unable to sense Wu Yong's location. Feng Zhuge also shook his head. He seems to be using this battlefield to hide himself. He could only detect some vague details. Feng Zhuge had just finished speaking when there was a sudden change in the whole battlefield. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh! Fierce wind rose from nowhere, making whizzing noises as it moved around the battlefield like formless pythons. Then wind blades formed out of the wind. Each wind blade carried the piercing power of a rank 8 killer move. They maneuvered around in the air and charged towards Fang Yuan and Feng Zhuge. Good! Fang Yuan was happy instead of startled. His robe fluttered behind as he charged ahead. The wind blades, however, nimbly passed around him and shot towards Feng Zhuge. Wu Yong wanted to get rid of Feng Zhuge first before he dealt with Fang Yuan. This choice was extremely wise. No, because only Feng Zhuge had the ability to counterattack. Once he was dead or captured, what could Fang Yuan do with just reverse flow protection seal? Feng Zhuge smiled brightly at this. Interesting, I am being treated as a pushover. His tone was not furious. Instead, it had some joy and curiosity. He had never experienced such a feeling. Feng Zhuge sent out punches and palm strikes, destroying the wind blades. But after being destroyed, the wind blades turned into gusts of fierce wind which whizzed around before condensing into new wind blades. The wind blades shot forward continuously and with an increasing amount. Feng Zhuge did not dare to let these wind blades touch him, but despite destroying them as early as possible, he was now in a passive situation. Fang Yuan quickly rushed forward to help. This time, Fang Yuan lingered beside Feng Zhuge. Many wind blades struck Fang Yuan, but were immediately reflected back. However, they did not shoot back at Wu Yong, instead striking back at this battlefield. Although Wu Yong was the controller, he had manipulated the immortal battlefield killer move to send out the attacks. Hence, he was not the direct attacker. Wu Yong became the mastermind manipulator, while Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal could only reflect the attack to the attacker. As such, the wind blades could only target this battlefield. Wu Yong, who was hiding in a corner, was inwardly joyous when he saw this, and put in even more strength into the battlefield killer move. Fang Yuan was passively defending, his frown getting deeper as time passed. Feng Zhuge's situation had already turned for the better with Fang Yuan's protection. He thought for a moment before transmitting his voice to Fang Yuan. Protect me while I prepare a move to destroy this battlefield. Fang Yuan was stunned before quickly agreeing. Previously, he had already deduced it would be difficult to break this battlefield killer move. It was very difficult to see any effects based on his strength and attainment. On the other hand, it was better to wait for airlock to dissipate and use omnidirectional travel, with Binding Bing and the rest to leave this battlefield. So he needed to stall for time to the greatest extent possible. If he let Feng Zhuge fight with Wu Yong alone, Wu Yong would soon gain the upper hand and suppress Feng Zhuge, even getting rid of him, and then be free to deal with Fang Yuan. Feng Zhuge might have rank 8 battle strength, but he was still rank 7 after all. Hence, Fang Yuan came to help. Feng Zhuge began to prepare his killer move. He did not resist, leaving his defense to Fang Yuan. Such trust made Fang Yuan feel a little uncertain. Seeing this, Wu Yong hastened the battlefield killer move even more. The wind blades were unable to do anything to Fang and Feng. Another change occurred in the battlefield. Crackling of thunder could be heard. This thunder was extremely peculiar. Normal thunder sounded like an explosion or rumbling. This thunder, however, sounded bright and sharp, like knocking a gourd on a large 100-year-old bamboo flute. Several breaths later, lightning bolts flickered as they struck down at Fang and Feng. Careful, this is clear jade lightning, Feng Zhuge warned. Clear jade lightning emitted dazzling blue light. It was extremely fast and emitted such glaring light that Fang Yuan had to close his eyes. He quickly activated his transformation method to change his eyes to dragon eyes. Only then was he able to resist the dazzling lightning. Fang Yuan was actively maintaining reverse flow protection seal, which took almost all of his attention, so he was not able to use ancient sword dragon transformation. But if it was just transforming his eyes, he could still do it. Clear jade lightning struck down. Fang Yan took it head-on. The jade lightning hit his body and was reflected back, wreaking havoc to the battlefield. But some of the jade lightning struck towards Feng Zhuge. However, these clear jade lightning bolts disappeared without a trace when they had just neared Feng Zhuge. Feng Zhuge was preparing a killer move. He naturally would not fully rely on Fang Yan and had laid down some defensive methods. Fang Yan felt relieved at this. He could defend much more calmly now and even counterattack. Wu Yong saw the lightning did not work and changed the battlefield again. Lightning disappeared, strong wind weakened, and changed into drops of beautiful green water pearls, which then formed a thin drizzle. Be careful. This is clear jade dripping wind, Feng Zhuge warned once again. This water pearl-like wind sprinkled on Fang Yuan's body, but were similarly reflected back. Fang Yuan was completely safe. Feng Zhuge, however, did not fare well. As clear jade dripping wind neared him, they continued to disappear, but many water drops still landed on his body. Feng Zhuge had defenses all over his body as well. The clear jade water drops splashed on him, producing clear sounds. The water continued to land on him. Feng Zhuge's body seemed to have turned into a human-shaped musical instrument, as delightful melodies echoed continuously. Wu Yong laughed loudly and even revealed himself because he saw victory within his grasp. My move still has another variation. Its name is Profound Immortal Sound. Feng Zhuge, you cultivate sound path. Why don't you evaluate this move? As his voice stopped, low murmurs of wind started to resound in the battlefield. Ugh! The sound of the wind was mild and clear, resounding within Fang Yuan's mind. In an instant, the robe on Fang Yuan started shaking and billowing. Not good. This profound immortal sound has the strongest offensive power among the 4 variation moves. Although I have reverse flow protection seal, I can only protect myself. How can I help Feng Zhuge? Fang Yuan's heart sank. Wu Yong's battlefield killer move was 4 clear transforming winds. It was created by a rank 8 Wu clan ancestor and was passed down from generation to generation. This 4 clear transforming winds had 4 variations: clear wind blades, clear jade lightning, clear jade dripping wind, profound immortal sound. It was Wu clan's trump card killer move with awe-inspiring might, and had helped Wu clan to dominate southern border for countless years.